A warm welcome back to the Forensics Detailing channel. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button. 3 products from Gyeon that make my steel shelves of destiny. The products that if I run out of, I want them and I go and buy them again. What are they? Because Gyeon expanded their range recently and added like some new things like their kind of purifier range and added some extra products and surfactants like trim cleaners and stuff. And I think they've got a good size range. They probably don't want to go too much further or else it just becomes too many products. But I think they'll feel if there's a need to introduce stuff, they will. But what are the 3 that I really don't want to be without? Well, the first one is Gyeon Wet Coat. Now, for me, I use this, I think, most of the time, as I showed you the other day, to top up the protection of ceramic coated alloy wheels, because I think Wet Coat has good self-cleaning, seems to complement the coating well, and it keeps the zing going on the coating. And like I showed you, a coated wheel is very easy to clean. The dirt peels off it with less kind of scrubbing. The dirt doesn't seem to be able to bond into the alloy wheel as much when you've got a coating there. And when I've taken the wheel off, cleaned out all the barrel properly, I can then just spritz some Wet Coat over it and the face of it, and just rinse it all off, air dry it, or just wipe it down with a microfiber cloth. And I feel then that that sort of dirt peel is going to just be better for doing that. And the more I can do that, the better. You know, I could do that all the time. I tend to do it every couple of washes, a little spritz of Wet Coat. If I ran out of it, I would go and buy more. The key thing that I like about this is like a non-wax formula. It is some sort of material which hardens off and gives you that self-cleaning. They do, I think, someone was saying that they've re-released the concentrated version of Wet Coat, Essence, I think. I should look at that really, but I tend to just grab a bottle of this and that will last me a long time. In the summer, I probably won't use it on my cars, not on the Black Peril, but in the winter when it's freezing cold and I don't want to be in the garage and like the car's looking flat, yeah, spritz some on and blast it off while it's outside. The drying aid protector function, yeah, I could definitely use it for that. I just think it's a really good product, really punchy and different chemically from like all of this. There's a lot of spray and rinse products and most of them are just a siloxane cocktail, but it's the hardening of that material leaves us like almost like eggshell quality to it. I don't know. So yeah, Wet Coat is the first one. The second one that I don't like to be without, and if I run out and I do get through it, I had a big litre of this and I got it down to like the bottom of it. Now I've probably about halfway through this. This is the tyre dressing that I like to use. Why? They have 2. They have Gyeon Tyre and Gyeon Tyre Express. Now, just for me, Gyeon Tyre is like a ceramic tyre dressing. It feels more like a traditional solvent-based silicone tyre dressing that's all translucent, sort of shiny, a bit more slimy, works better with a sponge, and you need to really work it in the tyre and maybe hair dry the tyre off. And if you do that, it will probably last longer and you know, have more durability. But for me, I like to dress my tyres when the car comes into the garage, you know, just the fresh dressed tyre look. And I'm running, that's Gyeon Tyre Express. And what I like about Gyeon Tyre Express is the tyre can still be wet. And in fact, it works better when there's water on the tyre to knock it down and make the product thinner. And then it just spreads and soaks into the tyre without you having to kind of work it with a sponge. So I'll just, if the tyre's dry, I'll just quickly mist a little bit of water over it first, put the Tyre Express into a hog's-hair brush, then put 4 sections on each tyre, and then just spread it. And it'll have like this white creamy film over all of it. And then I tend to leave that white creamy film because the car's going to sit inside. If I needed to drive the car, I'd wipe off the excess, but then I lose a bit of the shine. So this is the next day after applying it. So it looks still all wet and shiny, but that will settle down And I also find it lasts well as well. You know, the tyre will still get dirty, and next time I go to wash it, you probably still need to scrub the tyre down, and you know, if you're going to put more on. But I also find with Gyeon Tire Express that I don't get this like film of black gunky slime that needs to be really heavily scrubbed off, that you can sometimes get with the silicone based dressings that are like a film of silicone, which is good and shiny, but the dirt mixes in with it because the tyres obviously get really dirty, and then you've got to get that off before you redress, and that can be a bit harder. So yeah, I think I'm more now drawn to a water based thin dressing that I can spread so easily, and it soaks into all the little letters and little tread patterns and grooves, and then eventually dries and doesn't attract that dirt film. So yeah, it's all personal preference, but I'm more of a quick and easy kind of tyre shine guy. Yeah, and it blackens it out nicely as well. You can see that finish there. You can see a bit of shine from the light where it's hitting that bit. But that finish around that tyre is consistent. There's none of that kind of patchiness where there's a bit of it that looks good or you haven't worked it in enough. The whole tyre is darkened off, and you can see where it's soaked into even around here. If you load it up and all these treads are full of like cream, then obviously you don't want to drive that because it's going to flick out. So that's where you remove any excess, but I just leave it and it all just soaks away and dries, and then there won't be any sling either. So that's a product that I really, really like, and that will last me quite a long time. The next product is in their ceramic coating, and that is the Gyeon Rim ceramic coating. I just find this product, I find it beady, hydrophobic, easy to lay out, and I find it lasts as well. I mean, I was really surprised. When I took this wheel off and cleaned it, I couldn't remember when I put the coating on. I thought maybe it was a year. It was longer than a year, because it was the ones I did in February was on the red peril out there. So this coating's been on this car for maybe 2 years. I don't know. Find the video. There was a video where I put it on there. And it's still buzzing away, and you saw me clean it and how easy it was to clean, and when you rinsed it, how hydrophobic it still was. And I was really, I was kind of like impressed with that. I did as well. Someone put in the comments that they put it on into the barrel thick, like put it on and don't buff the barrel, just like level it down with the applicator. And as long as you don't see any high spots in that barrel, it's going to kind of dry out and level anyway. So I think a good little trick is when you're doing the barrel, especially on an alloy wheel like this where you can't see the barrel, putting loads on, a good nice chunky layer in that barrel, and just leveling it with the applicator and then leaving it is good. And then when you put it on the face of all this, it takes a lot longer, it's a lot more intricate. Yeah, just perhaps give it a leveling buff so that you know that you haven't got any high spots on the bits that you see. But less worried about the barrel. It is all going to erode away eventually. So however the barrel looks, the difference in appearance, you can't even tell. So yeah, I think that's just a good tip with coatings. Put it on thick in the barrel, maybe don't buff it. I know a few people have said that's something we talked about many years ago. I think it's a really good thing. But yeah, the barrels in here are still buzzing away. So yeah, Gyeon Rim is just a really good coating. That's February I opened that, so that needs to be used really. When they start going murky or sort of crunchy around the lid, then they need to be used. That's the thing with ceramic coatings at home, is you really do need to make sure you use them, because I think maybe after 6 months of it being opened, they might not be at their best. They'll probably still work. So yeah, but taking alloy wheels off your car and like prepping them all and all that is a lot of work. So I think I've said before, waxes and sealants and stuff on your alloys, I just don't think if you're going to go to all that hassle to take it off, it's worth it. I think you see the benefits, like, it stops that stuff biting into the clear coat and building up and getting that horrible rough finish that needs acid or something to get off. It just keeps them easier to clean. That's all I want. The downside is with that bare metal finish, I think even with coatings, you need to polish that finish like reasonably regularly. And I've seen like show cars where they keep really on top of it and keep that like that brilliance. There's no way around that other than like every 2 or 3 months repolishing. So yeah, unfortunately, if you put a coating down there and you need to repolish, you're going to polish the coating off. But yeah, for the barrels and normal alloy wheels that aren't bare metal, these types of wheel coatings are just, I think, the way to go. Paintwork itself, yeah, I mean, I just don't use coatings on these cars. This car lives in this garage. I love buffing on it. I love testing products on it. If I had a 9 to 5 that required me to drive like 200 miles a day or something like that, and I had like an F-Series BMW, then that's more ideal for having a ceramic coating on the paintwork. But for like how I have this car, yeah, I just like buffing and using traditional forms of protection. There are some other Gyeon products that potentially might make my shelf that I might not want to be without. I bought this primer. When I first used Gyeon primer, I found you have to be really careful with it, that if you overworked it, it was difficult to buff. And I don't know if they changed the formula, but then I used it again and it just buffed off really easy and it was silky smooth. I thought, wow, the car looks amazing. So I went and bought a litre of it for like 50 odd quid. I'm not using this so much. When would I use this? I would use this if I needed to put a coating down and the car needed cutting and finishing. So I could cut with a compound, finish with the primer, and then just give it a quick wipe over, a little spritz of their panel wipe, the Gyeon Prep, and then put the coating down. And that would allow me to finish out the paint, remove any kind of compounding haze and get a really nice sharp finish, but without having to degrease or kind of wash the car after the polishing process, dry the car, panel wipe the car and put the coating down. Much quicker just to give it a quick primer buff or primer it at the end of the day is your last job and then coat it in the morning the next day, because then you can leave it overnight and you probably won't then need to use the prep. I think that's kind of how it works. If you want to coat immediately, then they just advise giving it a wipe over the prep to get some of those oils off that are volatile and will eventually vape. But it's quite a niche product, I think, the Gyeon primer. You could say you don't need it. You could just have the compound and polish and just use the polish and degrease instead. Yeah, you could. You could. My understanding of it is that it's not a sort of abrasive, like a traditional abrasive like an aluminium oxide. It's a speciality resin with an abrasive effect that can support a coating. And it does seem to have its own little bit of hydrophobicity. And when you coat on top of it, it seems to sort of give you a really sort of beady effect as opposed to just coating on a sort of bare prepped panel. So I think it's a niche product. Not everyone will have that, but it is quite good stuff. I also think Can Coat is a good product because if you don't want to use ceramic coatings, you don't want something that's going to last 2 or 3 years or whatever, more like the protection of a traditional sealant, perhaps a little bit more. It can be removed. It can be degged as well. You can deg it right off the car with that Gyeon Total Remover. You can really smack it down. So it doesn't have that chemical resistance of a full-blown ceramic coating, but you can kind of apply it almost like, just like a spray sealant. You can just mist it into an applicator or tip it into an applicator, spread it over the panel and just buff it out like you're putting a wax on the car. But it's a little bit more, it gives you some of those ceramic kind of self-cleaning and a bit more durability, I think, perhaps than traditional kind of waxes and sealants and stuff like that. Another problem with the Can Coat is you get too much. I've talked about it before. For professionals, as like a coating topper-upper, or a slightly more durable sealant option that they could charge, then that bottle will do loads of cars. But for guys at home, you could put that on and then like reapply in 6 months, 12 months, whatever. The problem is it will take you so long to get through this. I think this bottle will be good for 2 or 3 years, but that's my opinion. I'm not sure what the actual real verdict is on how long this lasts, but I think it does lose its potency. You want to make sure it's all sealed up nicely, give it a little shake every like month or something. I like to do that with all my chemicals. But yeah, you get so much. So maybe like a 100 ml bottle, or what would be really cool, you know, I think I said this in another video as well, is sell little bullets. Like, so you get, instead of getting one bottle of it, you get like little 25 ml bullets that you can just trickle out almost like a coating into an applicator, and they're all sealed so that once you've used that one bullet, you throw the bullet away, the little tiny thing, and then you've got all your other bullets that are unopened. That would be quite cool, I think. Yeah, so you almost get too much of that particular product. You could perhaps top up your, if you want to do, you know, top up the coat protection on your alloys and stuff. What I like about can coat is you can use it on like trim as well, and I'm pretty sure you can use it on glass. You can pretty much do anything with it. So it's pretty cool. Those are the ones that I don't think I could be without. In particular, the wet coat, the Tire Express, and the rim coating. There's lots of other products which are good in here. I'm nearly through all this APC. I started off just using up all of those ready mix chemicals like their trim cleaners and stuff, and just really going commando with them to use them. And some of you were saying, well, there's too many kind of types of detergent. You know, they've got like a leather cleaner, they've got like a trim cleaner, all these different detergents, and you can just use the APC, and I have, and you can, and you get better value because you can mix that down. Like, and I used it the other day because I noticed my leather seats just had a slight discolouring on them from where I'm getting in and out of them, and I just wanted them to be tanned, so I just used a bit of the APC at like 1 to 15 with the soft tip factory brush, because I don't want to scrub too hard on this, and just put the APC on and then just wiped it off, and it took off the dirt. So yeah, I think, you know, I'm more into just like one chemical than having all of the different surfactants. That's a good APC. Their foam is probably one of the thickest on the market. It's 1 to 5. You could probably knock that down more, because for me at 1 to 5, that is like, it's just so thick. You can always dial it down, I guess. But yeah, some of these other products are good. That product is good. This is like a proper limonene based thing. It's more like it's almost more like, you know, some citruses are kind of all like water based and all foamy and stuff. Use this stuff, it's like spraying oil. So it's really kind of rich in limonene. I've run out of that, and I use that after a track day. Well, not run out, but I'm getting through it. Yeah, and it just breaks down the rubber. So you can wash off the car and then spray it on all of the panels after you've washed it, where the rubber is left on there, and then just go over it with the wash mitt, and you see that rubber break down. It won't break down so easily with surfactant. You know, rubber is not dissolved by surfactant. It needs solvent. It needs something that's going to work, a tar and glue remover, ideally. So that's useful. I don't think I've used... They've changed. They may well have changed the formulation, because I remember their old water spot remover. Their old water spot remover was like a car wash, I think. So you had to like wash the car with the water spot remover. Whereas this one, yeah, you spray it on, you leave it, and you wipe it off. That's probably a better way to go. Maybe, actually, it's just given me an idea. Maybe we will go down the road and look at water spot removers as a comparison. Pure water spot removers, I think, maybe, or maybe not. That's just sparked my brain into life. Yeah, I think we need to look at water spot removers. That'll make a good video. Yeah. So I kept the Eco Wash. It's going to be years before I run out of the Rapid Rinseless Wash, but that will do a sort of similar thing. I will use it. I'll use it all eventually. The iron fallout remover I'll use that. I have been using that. That's running reasonably low. Yeah, and that one as well. I've talked about that on the Unplugged channel. This may be one that I don't go and buy, but whenever I have it, I get through it, because it's not like an APC. It's like a cleaning spirit. It's good for just a wipe down, but it's not good for like a deep clean of a knackered vehicle. You know, if you're like doing a car and all the door cards were like discoloured and dirty and stuff like that, and you've got to really get them clean, you wouldn't use that product. You'd use that to keep something clean very, very rapidly. So spray on, wipe off. It also disinfects. I think it's alcohol based, so it kills any kind of you know, germs and viruses and all that stuff. So it's a cleaning spirit, sort of thing that actually you probably is a good idea to put in the glove box. So when you get greasy hands on your steering wheel, it's hot and you're sweating, and you touch a bit of glass on the inside of your car, heaven forbid, you know, and you've got a greasy mark, you just keep one cloth in the dashboard and a sort of all-round interior cleaner that isn't surfactant based. I think they're quite handy for that reason. Yes, smells good as well. So yeah, it's a bit like the Soft 99 Mist, and I think I've got some of that in there as well. It's a very sort of similar concept, like a cleaning spirit. So that might be one to consider as well. But yeah, there we go. There's the three: the Rim, the Tire Express, and the Wet Coat. And it would probably be different for every single person of what kind of makes your lineup, and often or not it's something very small that can determine it. Like, I'm just looking down here and thinking, like, this CarPro Pearl was the winner of my dressing, my kind of all-round dressing, because it's very versatile and it's concentrated. But I still, in here is the Auto Glim one, because sometimes I just prefer using that. But yeah, so I've got two on the shelf that really do a sort of similar thing. But yeah, I really like the Auto Glim rubber and vinyl, because it just makes a good all-round dressing as well. So yeah, it's small little things. At some stage, I'd love to get back to just, maybe I'll do a video on this, is like, what would your end game be? Like, product wise, what would your end game be? Knowing what you know, going through all of the sort of genres of product, what are the stuff that you keep bulk amounts of? What are the stuff that you keep in here? And some of the ones I'm just using up, and they may not be, they just might, like, for example, I ran out of TARDIS. So in here, I've got the Koch Chemie EU, which is an adhesive tar and glue remover. That stuff is so strong, you need to be very careful with it, and it wouldn't be my choice, but it is a very good product. But I prefer the Autosmart TARDIS. That stuff is very powerful. You'd need to be really careful about getting it on any of this rubber. You'd need to be very careful about leaving it on clear coat for too long. That is an on and off type product. And so it's almost like a professional one. Some tar and glue removers might be really mild, and like they might need to sit for a lot longer. Some are very aggressive. Professionals tend to like the aggressive ones that are bang, bang, done. But sometimes when you're trying to be really careful, less aggressive can be better. That's a little bit too aggressive for me. That isn't aggressive enough to be a tar and glue remover. But it's more, maybe a thin tar film it could cope with, but you can't use that really to remove most adhesives. Like, I remember doing these rubber strips on here, under here, and all the old glue was on here. The cleanser fluid won't break that down, and it just won't soften it enough, but the TARDIS just melted it all. So again, I'm aware that you have to be careful with TARDIS, so I tape everything up. I put it on that adhesive, I wipe it out, I go again. But, you know, you have to kind of know with some certain products where you need to be careful and where you don't. But I've got a good idea I've got a good idea. Say if we took these ones, for example, of where you could go with everything, and then I'll always, I'll always have my stuff in these things, and then up here I'll have stuff which I just feel is just really good and needs to be on these shelves. So there you go. I thought I'd do a quick video there on the ones from Gyeon that I really like and I wouldn't want to be without. Wet Coat, Tire Express and Gyeon Rim. Gyeon Rim you don't necessarily need on the shelf. You can go and buy it if you need it. You wouldn't buy it and just have a bottle there, would you? You know what I mean? Anyway, who cares? Because with coatings, you want to get a nice fresh one from the manufacturer, then use it and try and use it all up. As we've explained, I've been working on the E36 Black Peril. I've got to do the viscous clutch fan in there, which I think has a problem. I'm going to be doing that soon. I've just had all the air intake off, the ASC off, the throttle body off, to get to the idle control valve, which is underneath there. It's a right little pain to get to. Took the idle control valve out and cleaned it all out with carb cleaner. And I'm hoping that's fixed the problem, but I'll only know. It feels like it may have fixed it, but I'll only know once I give it a damn good ragging, get it right up to temperature and then turn it off and turn it back on and see if I develop that rough idle. But from the testing I've done, I've brought the engine up to temperature a couple of times, shut off, restarted, and the rough idle hasn't come back. So I'm hoping cleaning out the idle control valve has fixed it. The MAF has been cleaned as well, but it was squeaky clean anyway. The air filter's good. It may be due an oil service actually, which I'm deciding whether or not to do it myself, take it up to BMR to do it, or get Dan to do it for his servicing thing. Don't know. It's got to that age on the car where you want to maintain like a proper service stamp history, but like I like changing the oil on my cars. I do it properly, I don't have any problems, and I like doing it. I'm just wondering if that would devalue it, having a oil service stamp by me in there, or no stamp, or just self-service. You just keep the receipts for the oil. Don't know, I think perhaps maintaining that might be the way forward. I'll probably get BMR to do it. I need to service the aircon system as well. I was going to try and wing it, but I was going to try and do the old cylinder thing and fill it up myself, because I just think it needs regassing. I think it's all sealed and working, but it's just not cool enough. But then I think perhaps just get a specialist to do it, because then it'll be done properly. Yeah, apart from that, the car's driving really nice. So I'm digressing. I will see you soon on the Forensics Detailing channel. Bye for now.